Super excited for her, and just such an honor to just continue to witness a multi-decade long partnership between Tilth and WSU. So really excited to have them today on our call. We are recording live to YouTube, and I'm joined today by Nicole Witham, our statewide food systems coordinator. Abba Kaiser, who's usually with us, is on the road today doing some of our media work so that we have content for you. And I just want to welcome all of you to the meeting. Again, we're going to talk with Tilth Alliance today. We're going to have some programs and conference update, and we're just super excited to have Erin Murphy here and Terry Rakusin. They just really sort of hold down the fort when it comes to all of this incredible planning that happens to have this conference, to do farm walks. We really partner with them on so many of the projects that we have going on, and just really thrilled to have them here today to talk about the work that they're doing with Tilth Alliance. And then of course we'll have time to share. So I just want to welcome everyone and you can introduce yourself in the chat box. You can let us know who you are, where you're located, what you do, and also use the chat box to ask questions, share links, and provide resources for the group if there's upcoming events that you want us to post or anything else. And just a little bit about the WSU Food Systems program itself. We seek to work with communities throughout the state to foster viable farm businesses, optimize sustainable natural resource stewardship, and to promote scaled processing and distribution, always in the pursuit of access to healthy food for all. We have 7 focus areas for our program, but we work across the entire food system, and much of the work that we do really crosses these areas. The food systems team is comprised of about 80 faculty and staff from WSU, as well as external partners, and we're located across the state. Many of us are associated with extension offices in our 39 counties and on the Colville Reservation, as well as our campus sites and research and extension centers. So the WSU Food Systems HUB, we started this back in March to really focus on resources associated with the pandemic and COVID. And we've expanded this to really include resources from across the food system in Washington State, a place to convene. So we're providing this space to connect regularly with both our internal partners as well as our external partners to collect and update resources still relevant to COVID-19. And also to provide time and space to share stories and support one another. Just a reminder of our calendar events page. Please send us content if you want it posted there. And please check that site as well if you're looking for resources to support your work. And also a plug for Cultivating Success. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks. The class starts next week. We have almost 200 people registered as of today. So really excited to see this rolling out. If you're interested, there's still room. So you can contact Nicole Witham or any of the coordinators or facilitators from across the state that are supporting this program. So really thrilled to be offering this. Again, if you have questions, let us know. You can put them in the chat box. And Nicole, I don't know if you want to say anything else about this.
I think you hit it. We have some limited scholarships left for veterans, and the course is also going to be offered bilingually, fully bilingually with Spanish translation. So Spanish speakers throughout the entire state can sign up. We're really excited for the first time to be able to expand that statewide. So today we are going to be doing a big push. Today and tomorrow are kind of some of our last opportunities to register before we get everybody logged in for the course, which starts on the 20th. So if you know anybody that would be interested, please share this information with them. You can find it on our website, our Facebook page as an event. So feel free to share if you can.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. Oh, I didn't get such a great image here. Sorry about that. But I'm just super excited to welcome Tilth here today. We have Aaron Murphy and Terry Rakusin on the phone or on the call. And I know we have some other folks from Tilth here as well. So just really excited to turn it over to them and hear about their exciting programs and what they've been doing to really pivot and still be just really viable resource for all of us during this time. Welcome.
Thanks, Laura. And awesome. Thanks, Nicole. Yeah, thank you to Laura and Nicole for having us on the Hub call today. My name is Terry Rakusin, and I'm the Farm Program Coordinator at Tilth Alliance. I've been at Tilth for a little over a year and a half, and this will be my second Tilth Conference. And my colleague Aaron Murphy is also on the call.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin Murphy. I'm the statewide education project manager at Tilth Alliance. I've been with Tilth for almost 2.5 years, and this is my third conference, but first virtual conference.
Thanks, Erin. So we're just going to go over the other Tilth Alliance programs we have fairly quickly, and then we'll focus on the conference in the second half of the presentation. But if you have any questions about any of the other programs we offer, we can connect you with the right people after the presentation. And then if you'll go to the next slide. And the next one. Thank you. So I'll just go over a very brief history. The Tilth movement began in the 1970s, and it grew out of a need for resource sharing and community for those people interested in organic farming practices in Washington. But Tilth Alliance was formed in 2016 out of the merging of 3 organizations in Washington: the Tilth Producers, Seattle Tilth, and the Cascade Harvest Coalition. We can go to the next slide. And so the Tilth community now consists of a variety of farmers, gardeners, and eaters throughout Washington and the Pacific Northwest. We currently have 32 staff members and 12 board members that are dedicated to the mission of supporting a healthy, equitable, and sustainable food future. And we'll share a bit about the farm programs.
Yeah, so to start off, we'll focus on the farm programs, which are the programs that Terry and I work on. And these cover all of Washington state. So that's, this is kind of most of these programs are the statewide presence. So our farm programs are based on the idea that farmers deserve community and support to thrive. So we provide Washington's farming community with a variety of peer-to-peer education opportunities, as well as connecting them with land and other business support to support their business enterprises. So I know a few weeks, maybe months ago now, the Eat Local First Collaborative was on the Hub call, and so we won't dig into too much of that today, other than to share that that's a really exciting project that's underway, and we're excited about the forthcoming Washington Food and Farm Finder. We also have a monthly farmer newsletter that we put together, which is a great way to stay up to date on the programs that we as a farm program are offering. But we also synthesize resources, events, other opportunities, and also job postings from across the state that we share out. So it's a really great resource, and I think Terry's going to drop the link to sign up in the chat. So if you're not already signed up for that, it's a really great way to keep track of all the things that we're up to. We also run the Washington FarmLink program, which is really Terry's program. So I'll let her talk about that before circling back to farm walks and the conference.
Yeah, thanks. The Washington FarmLink program is a web-based program right now that works to link farmers to farmland in Washington state. And this year so far, we've had 6 successful land matches, and I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat if you have any other questions about the program.
So The last two programs we have in the farm programs are our Farmwalks program, which we of course run in collaboration with WSU Food Systems and Nicole specifically. And then of course we'll talk about the Tilth Conference towards the end. So next slide, please. So the Farmwalks program has been a 17 years long collaborative of Tilth Alliance and WSU Food Systems. Together we've organized over 130 farm walks all across Washington state. And the farm walks are designed to be on-farm peer-to-peer education events where there's a host farm and other farmer attendees come to learn and really facilitate an opportunity for that knowledge transfer. So each farm walk focuses on 1 to 2 themes and kind of gets like really a deep dive into those topics. Lots of specifics and details as farmers like to discuss. And so then we also have resource providers and extension agents and other researchers that are often attend the farm walks in a supporting role to augment the conversation of whichever topic we're discussing. So for this year, due to COVID, we pivoted this program into a podcast, which is something we've been really excited about because it feels like a really good fit for the program. And so we have done our first interview and we're hoping to have the first episodes coming out into the world next month. So for the first episode, we chatted with Pablo Silva from Silva Family Farms. We've got a few more episodes in the works and we have a beautiful website coming out. And one of the really key elements of the podcast that we're trying to pull from the Farmwalks program is that farmer to farmer piece. So what we're really looking for is ahead of the interviews we do to have open it up to the community to submit questions here's our website. This is exciting. Yeah, to have a place so that farmers can to kind of like make up for that in-person element. So to provide a space for farmers to ask questions of the farmer, so it feels kind of like a community-driven conversation. So this is really exciting to see our beautiful website that's coming together, which tells a little more history about the program. We'll have all of the information about the episodes and show notes, and also have those the question forms so folks can submit their questions. And of course, following us both WSU Food Systems and Tilth on Instagram and other social media is always helpful to get those questions in. Back to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Nicole, for showing the website. I think we can go to the next.
Just so everyone knows, that was a little sneak peek. little sneak peek. The website is not live publicly, but that's a little sneak peek for everybody. And I'm really excited. Terry and Aaron kind of volunteered me a little bit to be the podcast host. So I'm excited to be venturing into a new world for myself in my role as a resource provider. And we usually get to do farm walks live and in person and in the dirt and stomping around with farmers. And we facilitate that conversation live and in person. And now we're going to be doing that through interviews with the farmers. So we're all just really excited. I have like fancy gear, like stuff that's cool and cool audio equipment now. So that's very exciting. Go on, Terry. Take it away. Next slide.
Yeah, so the market programs really grew a lot this year with more funding for the Good Food Bag program. We were able to provide more bags of food to community members in need this summer. There was also a relaunch of a CSA out of our Rainier Beach Urban Farm and Wetlands location with produce grown on site and produce also purchased from local farmers. We also ran a pay what you can farm stand this year at that location, which was very popular in the Rainier Beach community. You can go to the next slide.
So in addition to our farm and market programs, we have community programs that are really catered towards Seattle and King County. And so these community programs are about sharing gardening and cooking skills through different educational opportunities like gardening classes and taking advantage of the learning garden spaces that we have, as well as volunteer opportunities. And we have within these programs, we have a senior meals program. We host community dinners at the Rainier Beach Urban Farm and Wetlands, although that, of course, is in a bit more of a virtual capacity at this time. And a lot of the classes range from things about gardening to canning and food preservation as well. So these have also been especially popular this year, as we've seen, a lot of attention towards growing your own food and folks really taking in charge of that. So it's been exciting.
So we also have a youth and families program, which offers youth employment, summer farm and garden camps, and now after school programs. And these programs really facilitate a positive space for learning in the outdoors. We can go to the next slide. We are also a co-principal investigator on the National Science Foundation's Learning in Places research project. And this project deals with co-designing with teachers, families, and other organizations in order to develop materials and processes for field-based science education in gardens primarily that are equitable and culturally based.
So the last programs we'll touch on are housed under the Natural Yard Care programs. So these include the Garden Hotline, the Master Composter and Sustainability Stewards Training Program, and the Soil and Water Stewards Training Program. So Master Composters, Sustainability Stewards is available to residents of the city of Seattle. There's a lot of outreach and training that goes along with that. And then the Soil and Water Stewards is a King County-wide program. And then the Garden Hotline, which sure, it's kind of very famous in some respects. We get calls and emails from all over the country, really. But it's a group of horticulturalists or garden experts who are available by phone and email to answer questions and from about anything gardening related. They also do a lot of outreach and lead classes and do training as well. So a really great resource for all the home gardeners out there. And next slide, please. All right, so now we're gonna dig into the Tilth Conference 2020, which is exciting. I know early on in COVID, there was a lot of discussion about virtual events and how folks were gonna pivot. And so it's exciting to be back here and kind of sharing about at least what we came up with and how we're approaching a virtual event during this time. So our theme this year is challenging the status quo together. And so a little bit more about the Tilth Conference. It provides an opportunity for farmers, food system professionals, researchers, and educators, as well as students to come together at the end of the season in kind of a celebratory fashion to learn from one another, share best practices and lessons learned, catch up with old friends, and also make new connections. So this year's conference, we're going to be on the conference platform HopIn, which we can take a look at here in a second. And it's going to be Monday and Tuesday, November 9th and 10th. And our time frame for those days is approximately 1 to 8 p.m. I mean, 1 is not approximate. It starts at 1 p.m. each day. And then it will kind of go as long as folks want to hang out and be social. And just to note, because this is a thing that we are learning, that this is Pacific Standard Time. So I want to show you the conference platform. Let's see.
Go ahead, Erin. Unshared. You should be able to share now.
Okay. Where is it? Okay, here we go. So this is HopIn, and this is what it looks like. And we were excited to come across this platform because it does, in our opinion, a really great job of kind of providing space for attendees to really connect with one another, and allows the participant to kind of have like control over how they move through the event. So you can see, I'm assuming you all can see this, but off to the side here, there's this chat function, which allows, you know, the event's not live yet, so there's limited ability of what we can see, but the chat enables like a kind of like a Zoom call, so there can be a conference-wide chat. You're also able to like go to the People's tab, and you're able to chat with all attendees who are registered for the event. So it kind of provides a little bit more ease of networking. There's a polls feature, and then in the People's tab, you're able to do video calls with anybody else, any other attendees. So that's really a fun way to have a bit more control. If you like see someone you want to catch up with or connect with, there's like the breaks that Terry is going to talk about in a little bit. There's a lot of break time to kind of facilitate some of those connections. So this is what the main page will look like. And then when it's live, there will be a schedule here that makes it really easy to navigate within. We have our sponsors down here. The stage is where our conference-wide addresses and keynote speeches will broadcast from. Sessions tab will have all of the sessions, all 20 sessions built out here. This networking feature is kind of fun. It's a little bit like speed dating, where you just kind of get randomly paired with someone and you can kind of just go through and chat with folks. So some people will love that and some people definitely won't, but of course you have the option to do whatever you want. And then there's the expo, which is our trade show. So I just wanted to give a little preview of this to kind of show how it's going to work for attendees to engage with the event. We're pretty excited about the platform. So I'll stop sharing that. Nicole, if you want to bring the presentation back up. Great, thanks. So next I want to talk about our keynote speakers this year. We're really excited to welcome Chris Newman, who is the co-founder of Sylvanaqua Farms, which is based in the Chesapeake Bay watershed of Virginia. Sylvanaqua Farms raises forest-raised pork, grass-fed beef, and pasture chicken and eggs. And you all can hear Chris give a keynote address at the conference on Monday, November 9th. And on Tuesday, we'll hear from Dr. Kathleen Merrigan, who is the executive director of the Sweat Center for Sustainable Food Systems at Arizona State University. And from 2009 to 2013, Dr. Merrigan served as the Deputy Secretary of the USDA. And like I said, we'll hear from her on Tuesday. So we're really excited to welcome these two keynote speakers. Now Terry's going to talk about the program.
Yeah, so the schedule right now is live, accessible through our site at that link, which we can drop in the chat. But we'll start each day with a welcome address from someone on Tilth's board, and then we'll go into the sessions. Each session will be an hour long, with some sessions having an extra 30-minute Q&A afterwards. There will be plenty of times for breaks throughout the day, like Erin mentioned, and these breaks can be used for networking with other attendees or visiting the expo booths, or just taking a break from the computer too. We'll also have keynote speeches each day, like Erin said, and each evening we'll close with a social program. And Monday's social program will be the Farmer Advocate of the Year Awards ceremony. But in terms of the educational programs, we convened a program development committee this year to help direct, kind of shape the educational sessions. And this committee helped us revise the request for proposals, to evaluate the submitted proposals and to decide which ones would be included in the program. We're really excited about the sessions this year, and there's like a variety of topics on production, marketing, business planning, farmland, and society, policy, and community. And we'll just highlight a couple sessions: imagining a just food system, dry farm vegetable production, e-commerce solutions for direct marketing farms, And 4 sessions of these will have live Spanish-English interpretation. We're still determining which sessions those will be, but it will be 1 per time slot. And we can go to the next slide. And we want to thank the members of our advisory committee and program development subcommittee. The advisory committee this year helped shape the look of the virtual event, kind of helped us decide whether to have an event or not, and help decide the theme of the conference and suggest keynote speakers. And then here is the program development subcommittee that I mentioned a second ago. So for registration, we really wanted to make this conference as accessible as possible, especially it being like a virtual event. And so we created a sliding scale, which ranges from $50 to $200 with the suggested regular price at $150. Once registration can be shared by a single household, but only one registered user can use their account on one computer at a time. So that's important to note. But like with the in-person conference, we'll still be asking participants to fill out session and overall conference evaluations. We'll also be recording all sessions, and those videos will be available to attendees online after the conference. And the conference registration also includes access to the virtual trade show booths, like we talked about, the keynote addresses, and the social events. And then, Erin.
So the last piece to talk about is just a quick mention of sponsorship and the trade show. Mostly just to put out there that opportunities are still available to sponsor the conference or to have a trade show booth. And I believe the deadline to get those arrangements made is next Friday, which is October 23rd. I think that's correct. And yeah, like we showed in the HopIn platform, the trade show is really exciting. And one of the reasons we ended up going with HopIn as our conference platform, because we feel that it does a really good job of kind of recreating the in-person trade show. So attendees can kind of like go in and peruse the trade show and connect with folks from different agencies to learn about educational opportunities and resources, or learn about new products from different businesses. So we felt like it was a really great space, and as a great space for that. And the booths are kind of cool because it allows an attendee or a trade show vendor to actually be there in person virtually, to engage with attendees through like a video call. It's kind of like a chat room that you can talk with a few folks at a time, very similar to how you would if you were actually staffing up a booth in person. But you also have the option to use a pre-recorded video that folks can just watch when they come to your table. So you need to step away for a minute, or just want to put up a pre-recorded video instead of having someone stand there, that is an option. So pretty flexible as far as the trade show goes, and pretty exciting to be able to connect with attendees that way. So linked here is the sponsorship and trade show kit. You can drop that link in the chat. And for any inquiries about sponsorship or the trade show, folks can reach out to Tom Beck or Cheryl Weiser, who is here on the call, and just posted the sponsorship kit for me. So that's all I have to say about sponsorship and trade show. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to Tom Beck or Cheryl Weiser at partnerships@tilthalliance.org. And now we can go to the next tab, or next slide, and we're really here to open up for questions, whether about the conference itself and the content and the program, or if folks have any questions about, how we went about planning and structuring this event. We're happy to take all of those.
Thank you so much, Erin and Terry. Go ahead and populate the chat box with questions, or go ahead and just ask a question. I have a question just in terms of your goal for attendance. And I know in some cases we've seen much higher attendance with some of these virtual events than we have in the past. And what are you thinking in terms of attendance right now? What are your sort of goals?
I think that just in order to just kind of like have some sort of goal, we just based it off of what in-person would be, because we figured that some folks wouldn't want to come to a virtual event, and some folks, would definitely be able to come to a virtual event as opposed to something in person. So we just based it off our normal numbers, which is about 300. And I think the other thing with virtual events is it seems like people are registering a bit closer to the event itself, because there doesn't necessarily seem to be that urgency around like getting food orders in time or making hotel arrangements. Although I will say from the organizer's perspective, it's definitely still helpful to have a head count. So you know like which Zoom platform to upgrade to, if you're gonna have 1,000 participants or 500, So we are working off of like 300 attendees. So we'll just kind of see how accurate that is. Yeah. That answers your question.
I'm just curious around the recorded sessions. Do those still live in the HopOn or HopIn platform afterwards, or do they go to some sort of like password protected site, or how is that integrated?
Yeah, so HopIn will record the sessions that have given permission to be recorded, and then we're actually going to be working with a production company to kind of like integrate presentations if that's needed, or just kind of try to clean them up a little bit so that they are a bit more viewer friendly as a kind of like standalone resource post-conference. So, and initially we came up with that because we're trying to explore the possibility of adding in subtitles as well to recordings. But I think the way that we saw it is like, we have an opportunity this year to essentially make all sessions available to everybody, which if you go to an in-person event, you are constrained by like your physicality of only being able to be in one place at a time. So that's something that we wanted to take advantage of this year, is making all content accessible after the event. So I think that the way it works is similar to Zoom, where like it records a session and it puts it out in a folder, and then we'll have those, I think they're MP4 files, and then we'll share those with our video production contractor, and they'll spruce them up a little bit.
And I think we were thinking about putting them on YouTube with a password protection or something like that, which is where they would live.
Yeah, I guess that's what my kind of clarifying or follow-up question was, is that for the conference attendees, because they will technically be the only ones that can access those recordings, right? So they wouldn't necessarily be logging back into their HopOn account. They could get a password and go to your YouTube channel and watch it. Cool. That is one of the amazing things about going virtual that we are noticing with several of our programs, is actually the opportunity for more accessibility. And I like that you were thinking about that in terms of like, yeah, you can only have your butt in one seat at a time at a real conference. So this is an opportunity to get that full gamut if you spend the money for registration. I'm wondering if you guys are able to track with your registration, like, or even right now, if you're watching like the physical locations of people. Are you tracking data like through your registration? Abba and I like to dork out about that in terms of how much information we can get from people when they register. So I'm just curious if you're seeing any trends at this point about where people are registering from.
I think that Tara and we have another colleague that works on registration, so I'm sure that she could pull that data. We have not done that at this point. I think also, especially, it's like data associated with like your credit card address. I just think it's like the sort of thing I'm sure we could figure that out, but that also sounds a little bit, I don't know, creepy to say, just to say right now, but.
Yeah, I meant more along the lines of, because normally say your conference is in Vancouver or it's in Spokane or it's in Tacoma, and to physically get there, or in Yakima, and to physically get there, pay for a hotel room, you only get a certain amount of farmers who are willing and able to do that. And I'm wondering if going in an online platform, what you'll see in terms of the geography people are coming from. It'll just be interesting if you get a more diverse crowd from throughout the state who can still be at home and being able to attend.
Oh, even if you just collected zip code information, that would be a huge help. Because here in Spokane, I would love to know whether, there's actually more people from our area that joined virtually and tried it out than have ever tried to attend the conference. But zip codes are a really easy way to do it.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I like the zip codes. And I think it'll be interesting to do kind of some of that analysis to compare the virtual event to in-person events. We just don't have that data right now. But yeah.
Yeah, it's also been interesting, like on the same note, to be able to have like speakers, the keynote speakers and presenters that aren't in the Pacific Northwest, that like don't need to fly in anywhere. I don't think we would have been able to have these speakers maybe if it had been an in-person event. And there are like some presenters from New York too, which is exciting. So it's been interesting to see like where even just like people are submitting proposals from.
I'm wondering if there's anyone on the call. I notice I might even pick on Heidi Peroni, maybe, that are signed up to be in your virtual trade show zone. I think we are, but I haven't even thought about what we'll do yet. I'm just curious if anybody else is signed up to be in the trade show, and if there's any cool ideas. I know you guys had said stuff about recording things and being able to help people one-on-one, or if you could say a little bit more about that.
I think that, and maybe Cheryl knows this a little bit more if you want to hop in, but no pun intended. But our colleague Tom is the one who's coordinating the trade show, so is there to work with folks to make the most use of the trade show in those booths. So that is a little bit outside of our department, but if anyone has those questions, we can definitely connect you with our colleagues to kind of get that one-on-one support.
Cheryl, I saw that you popped that email address into the chat for Tom. Do you want to add anything else about the trade show?
Tom is really the best person for the trade show. I've just been, I've been a helper as I've been focusing on the launch of the website and some other projects. So I put Tom's email in there. I think it's partnerships at, I'm not in the chat at the moment.
Yeah, partnerships at tilthalliance.org.
Yeah. But it's actually, there's so many different options that are part of the trade show and ways that people can participate. And so one thing I'll add is that anyone who becomes a sponsor, also a trade show is automatically included. So that's something that's different for this year. So Tom is really the HopIn trade show guru, and he can answer your questions more effectively than I can.
Cheryl, do you want to say more about sponsorship? Are you guys still seeking sponsors? Do you want to put a plug in?
Yeah, Erin already covered that. We had our soft deadline on the 15th, and of course we'd always love to have some more partners. It's really exciting to see all the folks that are coming in. We have some new partners this year too, and so we have packages starting at $500, and they obviously go up. I can't remember what the the big kahuna is there. So that's sponsorship. And we also have, if people want to just do program advertising, that's also an option. So there's different ways to participate. You can do sponsorship, you can just do a trade show booth, or you could do advertising, or you can do different combinations. And Tom and I, when we work with partners, we really like to be creative and think about what our partners need and want, and try to just figure out what will help get them the most value. Does that help? Okay, cool.
I just wanted to read what Heidi said in response to Nicole's question too, that they're anticipating offering a combination of live chats and pre-recorded video about organic claims and labeling for direct market farms. So this is a great example of like a bit more like using the trade show and the expo as like really providing kind of like one-on-one support almost, which is a really great way to use the space.
And sorry for those of you who didn't know, Heidi Peroni is with the WSDA organic program. She's also an organic farmer. So her audio is not working. I'll make sure to at least introduce her.
And will the trade show content be available after the conference as well? Or is that just kind of is up during the conference and then it goes away?
That's a really good question. And that would be something I'm going to check with Tom, and I can do that right now because I can go to Slack. But I would think that it might just be available during the conference. For example, in the Eat Local First collaborative booth, we'll have an FAQ, like a handout for folks. So I'll go bop over to Slack and see what I can find out and come back.
One thing I will say, so the HopIn event is definitely like time bound. So like people won't be able to access the event after, but the one thing that's really cool kind of about the networking feature of HopIn is that I feel like this is like an ad for HopIn, but one thing that's really cool is about whether you're there's this connections feature where whether it's in the networking space or you like connect with someone in a session and then you're like have like a private chat or whatever, it tracks your connections so that you're able to get people's contact information. So whether or you're in the trade show space and you connect with like, I don't know, a business that you're interested in their products or an extension agent or whatever for services, you'll be able to like make those connections and then you get those sent to the email that you've signed up for HopIn with. So while the trade show like visuals would go away, any sort of connections that you're making within HopIn, those will be shared with you via email. So it kind of like is a nice way to keep track of everyone's contact information. And one thing I didn't show on HopIn was that like you're able to set up kind of your participant profile. So you can put in like a headshot so people can see your face to kind of bring a little bit more of a human element to that. And then you're also able to share like your Instagram handle if you have a farm Instagram and your email address. So it makes it very easy to get people's contact information and to be able to connect. So that's a great question.
I know, Gwen, you're on the call too. Do you want to add anything else about Tilth?
No, I think Aaron and Terry did an awesome job. And also about the conference. And yeah, no, I don't have anything to add. This is pretty complete, I think. Thanks for asking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if we want to share a little bit more about some of our Farmwalks podcast hosts.
That would be great.
We have some extra time, so maybe we could talk a little bit about that. I don't have anything fancy to share from an imagery standpoint, but our plan for the Farmwalks podcast is to air 8 episodes over the winter months. And as Aaron said, we kicked off our first interviews with Pablo at Silva Family Farms with help from our friend Kate Smith in Skagit County Extension. And so we are also going to be lining up interviews with some organic farmer, the Boistert Valley Farm, who are organic farmers. We're going to be working with the WCA organic program for that episode. We're going to be interviewing Casey Smith and from BCS Livestock in the Methow, along with the Ogberg Family Farms or Ogberg Beef. And we are beginning specifically talking about their moves to scale from WSDA to USDA processing for their livestock and meat businesses. We're also going to be talking with, is it Matt from Steel Wheel? Not the right name.
Ryan.
Ryan from Steel. We're also reaching out to Bill from Sky Island Farm to talk a little bit more about risk management and small, simple CSA programs. What was it that we were doing with Ryan and the topic wise? I'm blanking. Aaron or Terry, if you want to add.
Talking about employee training around COVID-19 protocols, and they got a grant a few years ago to redesign their wash pack, moving towards SCAP certification. So we'll talk a little bit about that design. And then we'll also be talking about infrastructure projects on leased land and kind of how they've approached that conundrum, if you will.
Yeah, and what else am I forgetting? How many did I list? I can see. I should have just pulled up our planning spreadsheet. That would have been easier, wouldn't it have? I
think that's all we have planned for now.
Yeah, and then there's a couple that are kind of tentative lineups. So I think local color farm, which is a fiber farm, is one that we're looking at speaking with, and a lot of other topics of interest. So I think the podcast will be similar to the Farmwalks program in terms of really trying to take a deeper dive into a particular topic with our farmer. But I would also add that I think each of our podcast episodes will most likely have some portion of it that will really cover what's been going on for that farmer during COVID. I'm sure it'll come up in each of the topics, or how they may have had to change protocols or pivot. And so, yeah, we're really excited about that. If you yourself know of a particular farmer that you think would be amazing or fantastic, feel free to come my way or Aaron or Terry and let us know. I think are all hoping that this may be something that we can continue to do in lieu of in-person on-farm events. And so I think that we'll also be beginning to sleuth out some funding and opportunities for the 2021 series, which is quickly coming upon us. But I feel like we got our feet under us now, and we'll have all of the different elements of becoming podcast gurus.
I have one question for the three of you, actually. Do you think any of the farm walks or any of the podcasts, any of the farmers will highlight something marketing oriented, like if they've had to shift their marketing? I mean, CSAs was one that was mentioned, but is there any?
Yeah, I think we have in particular the one about creating CSA or creative food box or direct marketing programs quickly and as like a risk management strategy. And I think we also were talking around farmers that specifically lost their farmers market, like as their kind of sole or main source of income. And we have kind of several farmers that we talked about in terms of that had a fantastic kind of market program and really had to figure out what to do after that. For sure. And I think that moving into 2021, we'll continue to field those topics. We have a running topic list for farm walks in general. We kind of use all of our evaluation forms to curate that list. But we're always looking for new and innovative farmers as well, because I feel like we end up coming back around to some of the same farmers, or they're mentioned a lot, some of which we've already had farm walks at their property. So we're definitely looking for new and innovative farmers, socially disadvantaged or marginalized communities as well, being able to see what's happening for them and their businesses. And also something we were beginning to really shift towards over the last 2 years of the Farm Walk series was looking at processing facilities and how the kind of interconnected chain from production through value adding and selling at a retail environment or something like that. So I think that we'll also have the opportunity to expand into interviewing processors or or farms that have a particular, they're particularly good at value adding. Just so everyone knows, every Farm Walk podcast and or Farm Walk costs around $2,500 to $4,000. It used to swing a lot more depending on where it is in the state. So if you run any sort of programming that offers grants or has donorship or sponsorship funds, and you'd like to sponsor a Farm Walk podcast around a particular topic, we also fund the series in that way as well. So the WSDA organic program, for instance, is utilizing specialty crop block grant funds to help offset our funds. We're working with the Methow Conservancy for some of our meat work, and they're going to be subsidizing that. So if you work for an organization that has funds that could help support a podcast episode and have a topic and a farmer, we are really open to working with you on that as well. And we have kind of all of the administrative back of house stuff taken care of. We just really appreciate people coming forward to help with relationship building and fund development as well.
So I also wanted to give a shout out for some of the publicity that's happening around Tilth right now. So they just were in the Capitol Press. Can you see this article? Am I sharing it?
I see it. Great.
Yeah, so this came out today, is in the Capitol Press. So share this with your networks. It's a really nice write-up about the conference, and just great to see it on the Capitol Press radar. And again, promote it as you can. If you're following Capitol Press, please repost or share this with others just to promote the conference and let people know it's out there.
Thanks for that, Laura.
Hey, Tilth folks, do you have any way of invoicing people for registration?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Let me post. I think what you'll want to do is just reach out to our registration coordinator.
Okay.
Let me find email address. I'm going to post it in the chat. And then, yeah, we're able to work with you that way.
Okay.
So this is Dawn at register@tilthalliance.org.
Okay.
It's a great question.
Hey, everybody. I just posted a link. I just checked in with one of my colleagues, Tom Beck, and I just posted a link. There's a map that shows a pin for each registrant's zip code. So folks are actually registering from around the state and the country, which is pretty exciting. And I think we're going to see a bump. I believe we will after today's article. For now, definitely more focused in Puget Sound, but we still have a lot of, promo and kind of emails and pushing that's going out. So again, I think the Capitol Press article will help. And, you sort of just kind of keep the conversation is now going. So I think people are aware of it, and there's a lot of excitement out there, and Aaron and Terry are doing an amazing job of pulling this all together.
I just opened that map. That's really cool. That's great. Thank you for sharing. Other questions for our Tilth folks? I just want to thank Aaron and Terry for the fabulous presentation and overview of programs. And it's great to have Gwen and Cheryl here too, to be able to contribute. I want to just open it up now for general discussion. So if there's any other topics that people want to, excuse me, bring up, please do so.
I would just like to say a big thank you to Laura and Nicole for inviting us here today and providing the space, and for also helping us promote the event as well. I know you all have shared it at the conference a few times through the WSU Food Systems. So just very grateful for the two of you and all the work that you do and your longtime partnership.
Anything else exciting happening? Any stories that anyone wants to share? It doesn't have to be exciting too. You can tell us a boring story as well.
I'm really excited about what we're doing. We've already talked about it, and the Eat Local First Collaborative and how that's coming together, and you know, where it started from and where it's going, and also just the collaborative nature of this whole group. And you know, we are putting one foot in front of the other and really designing something and building something that for everyone. And it's exciting to do something like that. You know, in this time when we're not sure what's going to happen, it's actually a really beautiful leap of faith. And I think it's more than a leap. It's going to be concrete, and we're going to be launching the new website and the Washington Food and Farm Finder tool at the Tilth Conference. And then on November 10th, we're going to launch, Tilth is doing an Eat Local a holiday information campaign focusing on what you can buy from local farms for your holiday planning, whether you're going to eat it or gift it. So that's pretty exciting too.
Yeah, I ditto that. It's really exciting work right now. And sometimes, you know, for those of you not aware, we weren't able to get the LFPP grant that we applied for, but in some ways I feel like the collaborative partnership is even stronger because we've had to find ways to work around that. So it's pretty exciting to see this move forward. I see here in the chat that we have Henry from Business Impact Northwest posted about the Ready to Sell Farm e-commerce program in King County. Do you want to speak about this?
Yeah, thanks. And thank you to all the Tilth folks. I'm excited about that conference coming up. Yeah, as you know, we have our e-commerce program going on for King County, and we do have about 10 more spots available. So if you still have people that are interested and maybe the timing wasn't quite right, or maybe they're finishing out, you know, their season or some other things, we will be able to accept some late entries. And what we'll basically do, a lot of the content is recorded, so we'll catch them up to whatever point in the program we're at, and then they'll be able to join from there. Because we did get some feedback that the timing was just a little off. For example, like the flower farmers, where that first frost hasn't hit yet, so they're kind of still in the midst of selling. So if you know anyone, feel free to, I'll post the application chat, but also probably the best thing would just be have them email me, and then I can make sure we get them in.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
I wanted to just share the news that we saw from the Washington ag statistics that were compiled by NASS over the last week, that for the 2018-2019 season, barley had increased by 39%. So we can't take all the credit for it, but that's definitely been one of the crops that we have been really working hard to support expansion of and increased value in the state of Washington. So that was at least really good news. Obviously, we don't know what 2020 is going to look like, but thank you, Chris, for sharing that with us. And I'm really looking forward to following up with NASS to see if we can get a little bit more detail on if they can talk to us about varieties that were the increase in acreage of certain varieties. So exciting just to see some good news around one of the sectors that we're supporting.
Has there been any talk about when the dates for whatever the Cascadia Greens Conference is going to be?
Well, we were just talking about having ABBA present potentially in the next week or so about that. So we're looking at doing several virtual bundling together some packages, virtual packages. So, and it would probably be right around the same time, the third weekend of January, when we usually host the event, between the second and third weekend. So, but yeah, we're still putting all of the planning together for that. And she's wrapping up our Radicchio TV, Rad TV, in the next week. So we're really looking to see how that turns out. It's going to be 8 hours of basically Radicchio TV shows with commercials about Radicchio in between the Radicchio TV shows. They set it up as sort of a 1980s MTV format. So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of blending of the creative approach with the educational content, how it turns out, and then we'll make some serious plans about Cascadia grains.
Thank you.
Anything else that anyone would like to share?
I have a little update. So the USDA Beginning Farmer and Rancher program is going pretty well. So it's relatively new, and I'm the state coordinator for Washington. So our names are now, the names of all the coordinators for all the states are now on the USDA website. And since that has been posted, I've been getting communication from beginning farmers in Washington state and aspiring beginning farmers. And it's been really nice. I'm getting a little group together, and I've been telling them about cultivating success. So it's awesome. Keep that coming. They're all really excited about that. And also the Tilth Conference. I know at least one of them told me that he signed up for the Tilth Conference. So that's great. And so I just wanted to say I really appreciate all your newsletters and information, because I provide them with information on USDA resources, but also on like I'm trying to gather all the resources for Washington state that I can, everything that's going on in Washington, just that would help someone who's brand new to farming, or even who's been farming for a couple of years, or who just kind of has that as a dream and hasn't started yet. So I appreciate the call.
It is so great to have you here in the Pacific Northwest, and that's fabulous news to see that just publishing your name and number out there has generated that much interaction. So we'll have to have you on one of our calls coming up soon. You can kind of report out on not only the programs, but just some of the outreach that you might want some of us to be doing to help support you. Well, I'm going to close the meeting if we don't have anything else to share, and we look forward to seeing all of you next week. I appreciate all of you being here. This is definitely the highlight of my week, being able to do these hub calls and see all of you, be able to talk about the work we're doing to support Washingtonians and the Washington food system. And I just hope that you all have a great weekend, and hope to see you again next week. Thanks again.
Thanks for the opportunity, Laura and Nicole.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being here.